Rico Love, I want to welcome you to the show. We have the one and only Rico Love on Sports and Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max here tonight. One of the greatest songwriters in, I'd say, history, music history. One of the all-time creators behind the music, especially involved in front of the music as well. As you may know, hits They Don't Know. We can go on and on and on about that. My favorite song by you is Shine. I think that one's very underrated and should be on the radio.
Mhm.
But yes, Rico Love, welcome to the show, man.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Happy birthday to hip hop too.
Yeah, man.
48 years old.
Yeah, man. That's crazy, right?
Can you believe it?
That's a beautiful thing. I can believe it. I can believe it. I think that it's the strongest and most innovative genre in all music, and I think it's the most influential genre in all music. So I could definitely believe that.
Mhm. And if it wasn't for hip hop, we wouldn't be here tonight having this conversation. I can guarantee you that.
Absolutely.
No, but originally you actually started writing poems when you were very young. You wanted to be a rapper, you were acting, you were performing Langston Hughes poetry and theater. What made you want to get into all the theater and poetry at such a young age?
My mom put me in the African American Children's Theater as a kid, and I met this guy named Mr. Hamilton and this woman named Miss Connie, and she basically just taught us so much about poetry and acting and stage presence and art in general. And I was just so, I was obsessed with the idea of being a performer and the idea of creating art in whatever platform available. So I think that it was something that that became a passion, but I don't believe that anything truly becomes a passion unless it's already birthed in you. So I think it was something that was natural for me to do, and I just always knew what my calling was from a very young age based on the experiences my mother allowed me to have, my father allowed me to have.
I would say that the poetry helped you to evolve into this strong songwriter that you become, and as well as making songs and performing them. If it wasn't for poetry, you may not have that edge.
hmm I think so too. Just teaching you format, teaching you A B, different patterns and how to write at a very young age. I think it's very helpful. And studying, like not just the idea of me writing my own poetry, it put me in a place where I had to read others. And studying Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurst, all those people that I felt like were incredible. So I just think that when you started reading it, you started understanding the quality in the bar. You set a bar for yourself.
Your musical influences actually came because you used to listen to Motown a lot. You watched a lot of VH1 behind the music videos when you were younger, and you studied all these artist processes and getting into the game and what they did with their craft.
hmm Absolutely. That was one of the things. My dad had all the tapes from Motown 25 and Motown 30, and I would watch them. And then I studied Michael, I studied Marvin, and then there was a show VH1 behind the music, and I would study those things and learn about different bands that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to or wouldn't have had access to.
Mhm. What's your opinion on, because you studied the greats, what's your opinion about how music has changed over the time from when you were a learner and now that you're actually an artist and now that you see the generations in front of you? Do you feel as though, because looking, I feel as though that, to my opinion, you're the last great generation, because growing up when we had you out, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, besides that, your generation, the one that we have coming now, I'd probably say 2016, 2017. I feel as though in my mind, they're just not as epic and legendary. Like their contributions aren't as, when we look at what you did for the game and all the artists of your generation, they're just not the same. Do you feel as though that you have that kind of viewpoint as well? Because I feel as though this young generation, they just don't care about the craft of music.
Yeah, I think it's not so much that they don't care about the craft. I think they believe that nothing existed before them, and I don't think they have a reverence for overall, because I can't say that about every artist, but I just think that a lot of the mainstream hip hop artists, they kind of have this arrogance, like nothing existed before them. They don't have to pay homage. They don't have to respect anything. I think this new generation, not just musically, just in general, it's just like, even if you look at the gang culture, like gang culture used to have rules and used to have, big homies and people you had to answer to. And now even in the younger gang culture, it's like, we'll kill you. Like, you know what I mean? Who's the big homie? We'll kill big homie too. We don't care. So I think that just generally the idea of a hierarchy or paying homage or being respectful to what came before you. I think that that's a lost art form these days. I don't think people understand its importance.
Mhm. And I agree with you on that. Just thinking about it, when you look back at the Tupac records, Biggie, and all the people in the '90s, Keep Sweat, you go on and on, even in R&B. I feel as though with social media, people are just. I feel as though they just do it just to get money. Where back in the day, they did it for the art of it. It was all about the art, and the money came anyway. But their first goal was putting it forth in their art, where the art is just non-existent today.
Yeah, I agree. I think that people were kind of like, I don't want to say non-existent because there's so many artists that I actually love and respect. I think Her is brilliant. I
Mhm.
think Bruno Mars is brilliant, and I think that The Weeknd is a genius. I think that Brent Faiyaz and Daniel Caesar and Blast and Ty Dolla Sign and Jeremiah and Hitmaker. Like, there's a lot of people who respect it and really do it very well. So I don't think that it's necessarily overall. I think the mindset of the youth is just a little bit warped, but there are tons of talent, I think, that do have a high respect and a reverence for the art form.
Mhm. With the We Love Music conferences and all the things that you do, being on the board of trustees with the Grammys, have you ever thought of putting together some sort of event line where so you could bridge the gap between the younger generations and understanding that you had all these legends that came before you and form the path for you to come in here and do what you're doing, especially, and I feel as though it's much easier now because if you have one song that blows up, you're right in there in the game pretty much.
Yeah, I'm actually the vice chair of the Grammys now. So the
Oh,
opportunity
wow.
I have to
Congratulations on that.
thank you so much.
Mhm.
So the opportunity I have to build and to grow and to give opportunities to give information to people is very very available.
Mhm.
So I'm creating this thing called the HBCU Love Tour, where I'm going to a lot of historically Black colleges, universities, and speaking about the Grammys and Recording Academy and what we represent and who we are and things like that. And I think it's an opportunity for me to not just talk about the Grammys, but just talk about art and the respect for art as a whole.
I think that's important that you do that because I don't know too many people that are out there trying to bridge the gap and bring in awareness. It's all about these artist relations. And I think Nas is doing a great job of that because he's been putting A Boogie on his album. You see all these younger artists on his albums.
Mm-hmm. I think that's dope, man. I love King Disease too. I love that new record too, A
Yeah.
Boogie. But yeah, I think that more so about it's, to me it's not more so about him putting him on his album. I think it's about him showing that he can exist in any time zone, any time frame. I think the reinvention of who Nas actually is and the exception of who he is, um, uh, his acceptance is based on Hit Boy being such a brilliant fan of the culture and understanding the relevance of today and also understanding the timeless and classic nature of what Nas is putting it together. So yeah, I think that's an incredible opportunity to educate and inform the younger generation about what hip hop is supposed to sound like.
Mhm. Oh, and that's what hip hop is supposed to sound like. Is I've read that you're from Louisiana, but you had your time in Harlem. To me, when you come from New York, it's got to be boom bap, and you got to have the bars.
Absolutely. You gotta be aggressive,
Mhm.
you have to be fearless, you have to be confident. So a lot of the brittle spirits that exist today in today's time, a guy who gets booed off a stage and wants to kill himself, and I'm not trying to make fun of anybody who has suicidal thoughts, but it's like this the nature of hip hop was used to be a lot more aggressive, used to be a lot less, the skin was a lot tougher. But also, I mean, in fairness, social media didn't exist either, so you didn't have the opportunity for everybody giving their opinion about you every day, all day. That's why I respect Cole and Kendrick,
Mhm.
who stay off the social media until it's time for them to do their thing.
Mhm.
So
I
they're
think
going.
the most aggressive artists in New York, I would say, are Dave East and I would say the Griselda guys.
Yeah, yeah, super aggressive right now. Yeah, yeah.
Crazy. That's all that matters to me is the bars when it comes to hip hop, though. That's the focal point of New York, and people can't forget that because you have artists trying to hop on the trends out here, and it's all about individuality. I'm sure that you saw the T Pain video, and he spoke out about it recently. You're starting to see more large figureheads starting to speak out about the rappers in this day and age, hopping
Yeah,
on the one sound.
I think the bars are very important, but I also know that that versus battle with Dipset and Locks showed that yeah, the bars matter, but those were very great records that Jada was performing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think to have a mixture of both is brilliant, and that's the exception and to the rule. I think it's being able to have the ability, or look at Jay. Jay is like for me, pound for pound, one of the greatest MCs ever.
Mhm.
Look at Biggie, who is my favorite rapper of all time. Look at Mace, who's one of my favorite rappers of all time. They make records. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They make records. Think about Eminem. who made all those like I'm Slim Shady and sound, and he found a way to put bars in those type
Mhm.
of records. So it's about, I think the true lyricist is the guy who can challenge himself to give you the bars, but still give you a record that's infectious and timeless. You know.
Mhm. And I think you hit the nail right on the head with that. And just getting into more hip hop talk, what record, especially a plaque that's behind you, could be a plaque behind you, anything that you wrote throughout your career, are you most proud of?
Um, Most proud of. I wrote a song for Brandy called "No Such Thing as Too Late" that I feel like was the most beautiful song I've ever written. And I wrote a song for Usher called "Dive," which I thought was one of the most beautiful songs I've ever written. Uh, Neither one of those songs were hits, and I think that it's very telling the fact that my favorite record was the one that really meant the most creatively. I thought was an exceptional uh, writing and an exceptional melodic sensibility. I think that those songs should have been hit, and those songs broke my heart when they didn't become hits. Honestly, I questioned everything when Dive didn't become a hit because I thought to myself, I can't write a better song than this. Yeah, I was like,
Mhm.
this is not a hit. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like because obviously I had tons of hits before and after, but it still felt like unreal. Like wow, this is not a hit. What's a hit?
Yeah. Do you feel as though that hits are overrated into that point? Because I feel as though there were some filler songs. You look back on '90s R&B albums, whereas though the hit songs that they're good, don't get me wrong, hits are hit records, but I feel as though some of the filler songs on classic albums are actually better than the hits.
Yeah, sometimes, but it's all subjective. But one thing that's clear is that the hit was the hit. It felt
Mhm.
right. It felt the timing was perfect. It just so happened that when you got 12, 13 songs at that time, 15, 16 songs, it was hard to make every song that single. Just meant that you had a great body of work. Not necessarily that that song should have been the hit. It's just like you had such a great album that you had so many choices. You had so many options to choose from. And I think that that's what ideally what you want.
Being a songwriter and looking at it through the lens of a hip hop artist who's writing, why do you feel as though that people are so critical when it comes to rappers having writers, but not for R&B singers?
I think hip hop is just like it's not built like that. It's not,
Mhm.
it's hip hop is about the creative and the MC coming up with the flow. But I don't think obviously I make a living writing records for people, so I'm a little bit biased. But I think what people don't realize is back in the day, a lot of the guys rapping those songs weren't even writing them. You know what I mean? There were a lot of guys who weren't writing their own stuff back then. Um, DOC was writing a lot of Snoop stuff. You know what I mean?
And people
Snoop
don't know that.
People don't know that. Like DOC was writing all the Dre stuff. Ice Cube wrote everything for
For
NWA
NWA and Easy.
and Ren. Yeah, it was Cube and Ren. It was writing everything for the whole group. So I think that people kind of like are disenchanted about the idea of what hip hop really is and not understanding their own history.
And I think it's important that people do. But you dropped some gems right there about DOC and Ice Cube. But a lot of people probably have known about the Ice Cube thing, but DOC was news to me. But I'm not surprised because back in the day, that's how it was.
Mm-hmm.
And getting into your career with writing and it's just your newest album that you just dropped, Emerging Women in R&B, that's pushing the real R&B forward, especially for women. What made you want to do that? Just put all these women on an album and push their career forward because you're someone that puts other artists over you.
Yeah, I think that to me, I felt like it was the new way of the future was to create compositions and pay the artists and then own the composition, write and produce it. And also, I thought it was a way to get some of the records that I have written out. But then I realized that it's every time I got a new artist in there, I wanted to write something from scratch. So I didn't even use all the old songs that I thought I was going to use for the project. I ended up, because I like writing so much, I enjoy it so much that I end up writing new songs for every one of the acts when they showed up. But I think that the reason why it was so special to me that album was because it was an opportunity for me to show what I normally do. I'm working with tons of different artists, creating different energies for them, and stretching myself. As far as how I creatively being able to say I can go from this extreme to this extreme, and then bring everything to to the middle. So I think that was the exercise in doing so, but also I think it created an idea for a new platform on how creatives and how producers can really exercise their gift and monetize it.
I think that's what you're doing is a great thing, 100% pushing the music forward for women and giving them a spotlight for once. And do you feel as though that this is a good question? Do you feel as though that R&B is a male dominated genre or is it a female dominated genre?
And music in general is a male dominated.
Mm.
So many, there's so few. Even when you're in the studio writing, you're always thinking like, it's either Rihanna or it's Beyonce or it's, you know what I mean? Like you don't have many people to choose from when you're writing, so um, it's very difficult. But even in R&B, it's not many. It's not many. Generally, though, it's just difficult unless you look to the new acts, the up and coming. I think that's the shit. Then that's why it's always been my focus to develop my own acts and looking for the up and coming because it's not many to choose from. And
Mm.
then everybody's so self-contained these days.
Oh,
They don't even listen to the labels anymore. Labels just tell them, yo, you got to get in the studio with this one and this one. Now these artists are coming with their albums finished. They're getting a deal based upon the records that they already have out. So it's not the whole A&R process and putting together an album process is a lot different because these artists are kind of ready-made now. They don't have a choice but to be that way because labels don't believe in investing in these acts anymore. They believe in if you're already doing millions and millions of streams, then we'll, cut you a check.
mm. Florida A&M University. How's your experience throughout your time there, and what was the most important class that you took during your time in college?
Oh man, I think philosophy was my favorite class to take. I just learned the idea of how people see and view the world and perspectives. And I thought that was a beautiful idea, beautiful concept. Just understand the perspectives of different people, which helped me so much in my songwriting.
Mhm.
Um, Meeting so many different people from different places. You understand we didn't have Instagram and social media, so you that was your way of finding out how people on this side of the world talk and behaved and did things. And then you start realizing, like, man, I never did it this way because I only know to do it this way. So let me try it this way. So you're able to experience different ways and understand yourself differently and realize that, man, the only reason I'm doing this or living this way or acting this way is because this was taught to me. But I realized that this other way, these people in Virginia, these people in LA, these people in Chicago, they move it this way. And I think that this is better for me. That better suits me. You realize certain things and learn certain things. I think college was an amazing experience for me.
Mhm. And during your time in college, actually, you were participating in rap battles, rap concerts, and you were winning a lot of them. Do you have one that's most memorable to you?
I never lost one ever.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, never lost one. Um, I was in my dorm room and I was sleeping, and I hear somebody banging on the window next to my room. I lived in this dorm called Pattyfoot, and somebody was banging on my window and said, "Yo, you gotta come to battle," because I was winning so much that I stopped going. And there was a thing called this Lil Steve had this thing on the set downstairs at the set, and we would go down no to the Rattlers Den. It was called the Rattlers Den, and we would go down there. So they were calling me like, "Yo, banging on my door." I didn't have a cell phone at the time, so they were banging on my door, and they were like, "Yo, you got to get down here. You gotta eat this dude up. He was killing everybody." And I got out of bed, put my shoes on, put my clothes on, and destroyed this guy. Like it was terrible. Like very, very, very bad, convincingly. And yeah, that was super memorable. Yeah.
That's amazing. It really is winning all these rap battles in college, and then that eventually that's how your career you started going down the path here, and you eventually ran into the Corner Boys, and you lived on their couch actually.
Mm-hmm. Slept on that couch in Atlanta. I met them through Jagged Edge, but my manager at the time, Vincent Cersei, had linked me up. Had put me in a position where I was moving around out there in Atlanta, and we linked up with Jagged Edge, and that's how I met. That's how I met the Corna Boyz, and then my life changed at that point after meeting them because we kind of became. We had a creative marriage,
Mhm.
and D-Town from the Corna Boyz is still one of my best friends to this day. I just was with him in the studio, and we still work together every day.
What's the important mindset to have when you're just starting out? Because, like you said, you ran into Jagged Edge, you're on the Corner Boys couch, and you're just starting out. And eventually you find your way into songwriting. Your first placement was Usher's Throwback featuring Jadakiss. And then we go on and on and on from there. You sign to Usher. What's the right mindset to have when going into the industry, especially when what was really your set goal going into the industry? Was it to be a rapper? Because you just branched off and did everything and as expertise.
What was my mindset going into
Mhm.
it? I think that you think about rapping is that you have to be unafraid You have to be prepared at any moment. And I think that that's kind of like how I am right now as a writer, and how I've always been. Is just being able to go in the studio and be able to quickly adapt and create. And I think that that is the hip hop mindset. If you need, somebody says they need a verse, I need you to get a 16 on this. You got to come up with a verse. So that's I took that and adapted that to my creative process as a songwriter. I think hip hop, like I said in the beginning, hip hop is like the mother of all music. So it's able to well, rhythm and blues is the mother of all music, but I think that hip hop is like kind of like, you know, the God brother, the God baby, of to be able to come in and just say, like, you have to have this aggressive approach and this fearlessness, and you got to be able to create at the drop of a hat. And I think that that's why I was able to exist the way I'm able to exist for this long and still be doing well, is because of adapting that mindset.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting, and you've been successful in every lane that you've been in. And from there, the Corna Boyz, they had the remix for Usher to do something on it rap wise, and that's how you got connected with Usher. You get signed to Usher. Were you there in the studio when Usher did it live? You recorded the song live, and Jadakiss came in and did his verse on the song.
No. Actually, I did a verse on it first. I was rapping on it. Jadakiss didn't get on it until after the album was already out, and
Oh
they did a
wow.
deluxe version. So I was rapping on the first. So that's why when I did the tour with Usher, I was on the song. Usher's mom took me off the song, Janetta. She took
Oh.
me off of the song, and there was no rap on the original version, which was weird to me because I was signed to Usher as a rap artist.
Mhm.
And since that was such an iconic classic album, I believe that it would have gave me a better opportunity as a rap artist to have a chance, an opportunity to be seen and heard. And they decided not to put me on it and not to keep anyone, which was ridiculous. I wrote the song and for the rap that I thought was incredible. You know what I mean? So Jada's verse didn't come until later. It didn't come until when we did the deluxe.
Okay. So when the deluxe came out, that's when we heard Jada Kiss's verse. And with the songwriting credits, it's how do you feel as though writers get their credit nowadays? Do you feel as though they get the credit that they're deserved? Because back in the day when we had CDs, we used to recognize the songwriters because they came with the booklets. Nowadays, you have to go and seek out the information that was in the booklets, but not anymore because everything's all digital.
I think because of guys like myself and Sean Garrett and Dream and Esther Dean, I think because of us,
Mhm.
people want to know who writes the song. So even though they don't have the credits as available, which they do have available, just not as handy, I think that people are interested in knowing who wrote these songs because they understood and recognized the respect that they had for guys like us who pioneered the tag in making songwriters more well known. I think that when I created Turn the Lights On, I think that was the first tag for a writer. And, then the people followed suit. When Dream started doing you hear a song on the radio. Yes, I pinned it. That's what Sean. And then when Dream started doing Radio Killer and things like that started happening. But I think the tag and us making our presence known, and then before you know it, people understood and recognized the style. So when you hear a Sean Garrett record, you know it's him. You hear a Rico Love record, you know it's me. Even before you hear Turn the Lights On. When you hear Dream, obviously one of the most distinct sounding songwriters ever. You hear Esther Dean, you kind of consistent, baby, like you hear that stuff, you know the trends, you know the cadence, so much so that when somebody's duplicating or attempting to duplicate it, it's almost like I get calls like, did you write this song right here? I do that one, you know.
Yeah. You also were able to write on "There Goes My Baby." That's a huge record.
Yeah, I wrote There Goes My Baby. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, one of my
huge,
favorite.
huge. That's an anthem.
Yeah, man, yeah.
And also for Beyonce, "Sweet Dreams."
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Opportunity to work with two icons. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to say I worked with every Destiny's Child member individually.
Kelly Rowland. That's right.
Terry Rowland, Michelle Williams.
Hmm.
I even worked with Latoya Luckett.
Fergie, ASAP Rocky, French Montana, Nelly. How was your experience working with Nelly? Because he's one of the, in my opinion, he's one of the most important artists in hip hop because You know, besides Nate Dogg and all these other guys that were using melodies in their lyrics in early on in hip hop, Nelly was the one to really make it cool to sing rap.
Yeah, Nelly is one of my closest friends. He's like my OG, and he's a genius because he knows his strengths. He's the guy who says, uh, "No, that's not me. That's me. This is me." And people don't know what works for them. Some people do, and he knows what works for them.
Just a dream.
He's having an extreme amount of success right now in the country world. It's ridiculous how well he's doing. He just had a platinum record with Florida Georgia Line. You know, artists go platinum now. It's like billions and billions of streams. It's so difficult.
It is. And you're from the generation growing up where there was no streaming. So how would you say that the streaming era affect your artistry with songwriting and even as an artist when releasing your music?
I'm not going to say it affect the artistry because artistry is who you are and what you do. I think the business of it is a lot different, but I also believe that the streaming is the gift that keeps on giving. After somebody buys a record, that's it. The great thing about the streaming is that every time you listen to it, there's opportunity to earn. So it's about understanding and adapting, and I think we have to understand it to make the best out of it. I don't think that the publishing is paying as much as it should for these streams, but I think the master royalty is paying ungodly amounts of money. So at the end of the day, you got to say if publishing isn't paying as much, I need to get on the other side of the desk. I need to be operating as the label, and that's what I've been doing. So instead of crying about not being paid properly, I just change roles and own it.
And that's important. What's the most important advice that you can give to an artist to make sure that they own their royalties and they get the money that they deserve?
Honestly, these artists, the upper hand, they have the upper hand now.
Yeah.
Because they're putting out their records first. The only way to really work and get what you need in this business is by owning it and doing it yourself. So now you're in a power position. It's easier now for them to get the money they deserve. So labels are paying them, handle like they're getting a ton of money now. So I think that it's just about understanding your control, understanding your power. When you understand that, then you're good.
Mhm. I think one of the biggest achievements throughout your career was being able to write for Diddy, as he is a mentor to you.
Yeah, he was one of my biggest influences. And at one point, we were so close, we were inseparable. I was with him every day. Mhm.
He's one of the greatest of all time. And I remember hearing you speak about it in interviews that you feel as though that just because he was always successful, that people didn't want to see him win anymore. And that's why his album, Diddy Dirty Money, wasn't doing the numbers that it was supposed to.
Yeah, I think that people, if there would have been anybody else, that I would have been humongous. Just that people look at Puff and they just feel like we sick of you winning.
But I don't understand why people would be sick of him winning, because he should be looked at as an icon.
It's the nature of who we are as people, and also understanding like Puff is just an in your face type character. It could be a bit much for people.
Mhm. Yeah, what Puff Daddy did with Bad Boys back in the day. Crazy. Craig Mack. Would you say that Craig Mack was the most important artist to come out of Bad Boys, if you think about it? Because if it wasn't for Flavor in the Air, I think he really put on Bad Boys.
He pioneered it, but I think Biggie was the most important.
Mhm.
Biggie took it to a whole different place,
You're right.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think Biggie definitely he had the biggest impact, but if it wasn't for Craig Mack set the foundation
Well,
pretty much.
he definitely set it up, but in this business, it's more like how do you keep it up?
Yeah. And
Big
Biggie was able to keep it up.
and just make a face and the energy of Bad Boy. I don't think Craig Mack got us to dead. I don't think Craig Mack was enough of a presence himself outside of the record.
Mhm. You won't be around next year. That's what he said in his rhyme.
Yeah. And it was his omen, I guess.
Yeah, it was, but he goes down as a legend just in and of itself, just what he did in his short stint in hip hop, 100%. With Diddy as one for the ages. What was one that was real surreal to you and writing, or even working with an artist? It could be even recording for someone on your song. You had Ludacris on "They Don't Know" the remix. You work with a ton of artists.
Yeah. I think Puff, Usher, Beyonce, Brandy. I got too many, man. It's like so many iconic moments. Nelly. There's so many iconic moments, you know what I mean, that I have that I just feel like I've had a blessed career, man. It's
Mhm.
impossible for me to pick one.
Is there someone on your list still that you're working to hit that chart where you want to work with?
Kanye West,
Kanye West
Jay Z.
and Jay-Z.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about Kanye's latest music as of recently in the past couple of years? Are you a fan of it still? Because I
Yeah,
know a lot of his fans have dropped. I mean, if you're a diehard Kanye fan, you're going to be following him wherever he's at. But I know a lot of people once Jesus came out, they weren't liking his records as much anymore.
yeah. I mean, the Yeezus tour. Remember that? That was
Hmm.
incredible. Like, so everybody could say what they want to say, but he sold out the tour.
Yeah.
He stopped because he had a mental breakdown. But other than that, he would have been touring the whole world. So people act like they want to act like whatever, but guess what? When he says I'm showing up here, people show up.
Oh,
Even
they
after
do.
even after the red cap.
Even oh yeah, that was can't forget about that. The red cap was in. Now, did that crush you inside a little bit when he did wear the red cap?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It crushed me the fact that he was just worshiping Trump the way he was. This is the guy who says George Bush don't like black people. You know what I mean? It was just like this is a guy who says they made new slaves. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
just like it's a contradiction to everything he previously stood for. So that kind of hurt me. But creatively, I still think he's a mastermind.
He is 100%. Jay-Z is. Would you say that he's the GOAT? Would you say be the person to say that he's the greatest of all time?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I want your opinion on this because I'm a Nas guy.
Mm-hmm.
What makes Jay-Z the greatest rapper of all time? Because when I tend to ask people about Jay-Z, they start going, well, look at the billionaire business that he's had with Rock Nation and the artists that he's put on to his label.
Bar for bar, Jay Z could stop at the Black album. He could stop there at the Black album, and he still be the greatest rapper of all time, easily.
I respect
And
your
he
opinion, even though I love Stillmatic.
I love Stillmatic, incredible, but just poise and flow and energy and balance. You have to understand, MCing is not just about words and lyrics. MCing is the master of the ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
It's the swag, it's the energy, it's the cadence, it's the influence on the culture, on the party, and how it works. I think Nas is definitely in my top five easily. But Jay is just what he did for the culture. Just different, just different. They had a greater impact. And I think if Nas was as obsessed with being in the forefront as Jay Z was, then I think he would have had the same impact as well. But he wasn't.
Mm-hmm. What would you
But
say is Jay-Z's greatest album? Because you said you could stop at Black Album. What would you say is his greatest album?
Blueprint for me.
Blueprint.
Blueprint. I know most people would say Reasonable Doubt, but I think Blueprint was my favorite Jay Z album easily. And then I think I would go Blueprint, Reasonable Doubt, and then American Gangster.
Oh, from 2008.
Yeah, yeah.
No one ever brings that album up.
That album was insane. Insane.
Not now. Most people would run for Nas with Illmatic, but to me, I feel as though It Was Written was Nas's best album.
I agree. I agree. It was written was incredible. I also think the double CD was that Blueprint 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he would have cut that in half and made one CD and took the best songs from both those CDs, that would have been another classic.
I agree with you on that.
Nas made a double album once that I feel like if he'd have took the best four from each of those double albums, it would have been a classic as well.
Mm-hmm. I think that what was that Streets Disciple, I think.
Street Disciple, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But in my opinion, It Was Written is his number one album. People don't give that enough credit. I Gave You Power, Taken in Blood.
Power of the World.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know. We got to get into this record. This record was always in rotation when I was younger on the radio. I remember hearing it to this day. And did you ever think that this was going to be the one that put you on the map as an R&B artist?
Yeah, I know it was going to be a hit.
Yeah.
I was very confident in that record. I was more shocked when other records behind it didn't work. That's the thing that bugged me. I thought that somebody else was going to be my biggest record. But sometimes that happens. You believe the songs that's your favorite aren't the ones that work for the public.
And just thinking about what you've done just for R&B and songwriting, and we think about writers all the time. I feel as though that you are, as you brought up before, you are one of the top writers that people look to in the industry, though. when we think of writers. And that's in the fact that we can say, oh, he's an important writer. I think that means a lot. And it paves the way for people not to be afraid to take a step back at times and say, I wanted to just be in the writing side of music.
Yeah, I think that I would never place myself as the greatest or one of the greatest because there's so many from
Babyface.
Babyface to James Taylor to R. Kelly to so many, bro. It's like it's
Yeah.
impossible. Diane Warren, David Foster. It's like it's so difficult. I wouldn't place myself in. If I had to choose, I'm not even in the top 25 best writers of all time. But I do know that I definitely had an impact on this in this generation, and I accept that. But it's so many, man. There's so many talented people in this world who do incredible, who've done incredible work, classic, timeless, evergreens. So for me, I just want to do my part and create at the level I created, but also take this next step. I want to be the biggest executive in the world. If I can't say that I'm the biggest, I was the biggest songwriter, then think about it, I'm only 38 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm around the age Barry Gordy was when he was starting Motown. You know what I mean? So I have a unique opportunity to do something extremely timeless and to surpass Barry, LA, Clive. I think I have an opportunity to do so, and I'm going to do that.
Division One, how did it feel to create this independent record label? Well, it was with Interscope Records. And then you were actually able to sign artists to it.
Yeah,
Trina, Young Chris.
yeah. I got a new deal at Epic. I have also a deal at Hitco with LA Reid, and I have a deal at Sony with J Urban Human Resources. So it's really just about developing new artists, working hard to get the music out there, seen and heard, and pushing the boundaries and just really getting our foot in the door. The key is to just keep working until we break something, and I think we're very close with Mia Ariana, Brand Baby, Rubina, Felly, Fast Cash Boys, Ayana Lee. It's just an exciting time for me to really do some cool, innovative stuff creatively as an executive.
Have you ever thought of writing a book? Because I think you're someone that's heavily influential in this game and could teach a lot of people about the aspects and insides and outs of the game in music.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely going to start working on the book by next year.
Oh, okay, so you've been planning this.
Hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, man. Just got to figure out how to approach it.
Yeah. I think you should let out the truth 100%. Don't hold back.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. A lot of people are held back on this, or even, and aside from writing a book, how about classes for songwriters? Have you ever
Yeah,
thought of?
I do the We Love Music Conference and I do the Art of Song. And we've done things via Zoom, and it's amazing. We have an opportunity to teach and extend information that we have to other people. And I think that that's an incredible opportunity that I love to use on that platform. Even with the pandemic, we did it via Zoom. I taught like 4 classes via Zoom, and it was amazing.
From your eyes and people that you've worked with close that of the younger generation, who's someone that people should really turn their attention to, and who's going to be the next up and coming hottest songwriter?
Hmm. I think Tiara Thomas
Mm-hmm.
will be somebody that's super special. I think she's gonna change the game.
And you worked with her for a while.
Actually, I signed her. Um,
That's right, to Division One.
Still, yeah. And we haven't spoken in years, but I still uh, root for her. I think she's an incredible artist, incredible writer.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that you're also working on an upcoming album of your own, a solo album.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing another one. Been throwing around some ideas on Even Kings Die Too.
Yeah, that was the one with Shine on it that I brought up before.
Yeah.
See, that one did. Now, when you wrote Shine, did you think that one was going to be a hit?
Um, I don't know. I don't think I made the album for any radio because I didn't put any records on the radio. I just made the album because I was dealing with a lot in life and I need to release it. And I think it was an important time for me, so I did the album. And it was kind of like it was very telling of what I was dealing with at the time.
Do you
And that's
feel?
I think when I make music for myself, it's always when I'm experiencing some level of difficulty.
It's things that are going on around you more so.
Hmm.
That's the authentic feel to R&B
Absolutely.
or any sort of music. I think That's the one thing about artists nowadays is with the trending sound, everyone just hops on the one sound and then the one message, whereas though people forget. And I think that's why there isn't individualities because people don't look into what they're actually experiencing in their lives. They're more as though chasing one message.
Absolutely, you hit it right in the head, man. For real.
It's unbelievable.
Mm.
But man, it's crazy. It really is. And what you've done throughout your career. I think people would love to hear the first time that you met Usher. The first time.
Yeah, yeah. I went to Usher's office. I just saw a picture from that day. I had on a Kobe Bryant jersey with the Kobe wristbands and the Kobe O.
Kobe was a good friend of yours, I heard.
Not necessarily, he wasn't a good friend of mine, but he was somebody I was just idolized intensely, immensely. And I met him once. And we had an incredible. We talked for like an hour and a half.
Wow.
I was just praising him, but broke my heart when he died. I cried like a baby. I think I was at the Grammys and I was just couldn't even contain myself. Um, but I had on an Usher jersey. I mean, I had a Kobe Bryant jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Usher walks in. He had on a V-neck sweater. You know, back when everybody was wearing those with a T-shirt under it, some jeans. Like I remember the whole setup. He was driving a Porsche Boxster, and it was an amazing experience. All I could think about was like, man, you know, Paul, he smelled so good. I was like, well, I want whatever he's wearing. I want to wear that. You know what I mean? I just remember like, he smelled rich, and I just felt like his presence was just epic. And he's one of my closest friends still to this day, and I still feel his presence to be epic. And no matter how many times I'm around him and how many times we speak, he's still Usher to me. Mm-hmm. I don't look at him as an average person, even with close friends. He's still like, oh, that's Usher. You know, I still have that feeling.
Mm-hmm. And think about the impact that Usher had early on in his career because people forget about it. They think Confessions was, oh, whoa, but you got to look at the other albums he had. His self-titled Usher was good. Yeah. My Way.
My Way was a classic. 87 classic. Hands down. Confessions. Oh, yeah. I think Raymond versus Raymond was a classic album.
Yeah. I do too. And don't forget about he had his time in acting. He acted in The Faculty.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. And Light It Up.
Mm-hmm.
And also Texas Ranger, I think he did a few episodes of that.
Did you ever think about doing any films?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited about writing some films, writing, doing some screenwriting, writing some television series, definitely.
Okay. What kind of themes would this surround about?
I have a few ideas that I'm rolling around, but nothing is set in stone. But I have a few concepts that I really want to build on.
Did you take screenwriting in college?
No, I didn't, but I read a book called Save the Cat by Blake Snyder to help understand screenwriting and how to put together, screenplay.
Mm-hmm. I think the most important software, because I took screenwriting in college in my classes here, Celtex is the most important one. When you're actually typing up the script, that one, it formats it for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Celtex. It's CELTX.
Okay. I'm definitely going to get to that.
Yeah, that's the one to use, but you're going to get into that lane, and I'm sure you're going to have success in that, as everything that you've touched has. But tell me, on your way to the path of getting this VP position to the Grammys, could you ever believe that you would ever have this much power and ranking in the Grammys? That's huge.
I did, but I just didn't know it would happen so fast. It was a situation where I served one term as governor, one term as trustee, and now I'm the vice chair. So it's just, but it just goes to show that when you have an impact and when you say things and people respect it and you have an opinion and you have a passion for something, that people recognize it quickly.
I think you're going to have that impact. I really do. Rico Love, is there anything else you would love to tell the audience here? Anything else you have upcoming as far as classes, conferences, anything?
Mia Ariana, her EP is out right now. It's called The Birthday Sex Tape. She also has I'm a Good Girl, Do You Believe Me, the EP out right now. I'm getting ready to drop music on my Artist Wifey Baby, Artist Brand Baby, Fast Cash Boys. We're getting ready to release some music. Rubina, Felly, Ayana Lee. I'm just excited about developing these new acts. It's just an incredible time right now for me musically.
And I'm sure you're back in the groove here, 2021. I mean, COVID's still out here, but just got to mask up.
Mask up and make it work, baby.
Yeah, that's all you can do, man. Rico Love, I want to thank you for coming on the show here tonight. It was an honor. I'm looking forward to everything you have coming forward, and we'll love to have you on the show again once you're ready to have anything to promote, as well as the book. I'm really interested in reading the book that you release in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
Of course, and let them know where they can follow you on Instagram and Twitter, most importantly, too.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram at I am Rico Love and on Twitter at I am Rico Love. Snapchat I am Rico Love 5.
That's right. All right, Rico Love, I want you to take care, enjoy the rest of your night, and we look forward to all your rest of your contributions to music, man.
Thanks. By the way, this is an amazing interview. You're very much on point. You do your research, and that means so much to people like me because we work so hard. And sometimes you have an interview and somebody hasn't even done their research, but you've definitely done your work, and you're very good at this, and you're gonna do very well in this world, this platform. I
Thank you,
appreciate
man. That means a lot to me. That gives me a boost of confidence, man. Especially coming from you, that gives me a huge boost of confidence.
it. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
No doubt, man. Anytime. I want you to enjoy the rest of your night and stay safe, man.
You too, bro.
Yeah. Peace.